Hello everyone. Today's film is going to be a brand and product focused film where we try out, and review several products from an in particular brand. And in today's film I'm going to be reviewing the entire Banish range. I'm also very pleased and so excited to say that today's film is in partnership with Banish. For those of you who may not be aware of, or all that familiar with Banish, Banish is a company that produces and retails skincare products as well as skincare tools. Banish is also a company that is based in Pasadena, California, in the United States of America. I have in the past previously partnered with Banish on a film that I produced and shared here on my channel. So when the opportunity to partner with Banish for a second time arose, I really was thrilled, as I use and continue to enjoy using their products. I have always found the story of Banish very fascinating and inspiring. Banish was, of course, founded by the very lovely Miss Jing, who had unfortunately suffered with acne and began developing products to deal with her acne. Miss Jing also has a channel here on the platform www.youtube.com. I shall leave the applicable link within the description of this film. Miss Jing shared her experience on her channel as well as her products, and many people took an interest in these products, and so Banish was created and has become this wonderful success. Acne, of course, is an inflammatory condition of the skin which affects people from all around the world, irrespective of ethnicity or gender. Fortunately, Banish deliver worldwide, and you can only purchase Banish products exclusively from www.banish.com. I even just love the name, Banish. I banish thee from the court. Take your Crocs with you. Now, I do prefer to trial skincare products before featuring them here on my channel. With cosmetics, makeup, it's easy to examine and almost predict the performance and the capabilities of the product as soon as they're applied. To see full results of skincare, it is something that you have to use consistently and often to see whether or not it has a positive or a negative effect upon your own skin. And of course, that is something that is subjective to the individual. Some people react very well to one product, others may not so much. Of course, there are many skincare products that you can apply to the skin, such as exfoliants, moisturizers, serums, that may have an instant uplifting or brightening effect to the skin. I think there's this sort of common misconception with skincare that if you apply a product to your skin, that the next day you're going to wake up with a new head. It takes time and consistent use of a product to take full effect on your skin. I have been using Banish products for years now. In fact, I probably started using the Banish products around November 2017. Banish doesn't tend to bring out products all that often, and they don't really release trendy products or trendy skincare products. You all know what I think of trends. Trends are designed for the anxious. So having used the Banish products for so many years now, it gives me a good experience to be able to reference. I think a lot of their products could and will work for many an individual. I think it's important for me to speak of skincare as part of a whole rather than a whole part. What I mean by that is that there are certain lifestyle choices that will either help the skin or hinder and damage the skin. The skin, of course, is an organ. It also happens to be the largest organ of the human body. In the same way that it is widely recognized that certain habits, certain foods, and certain substances have been proven to have an adverse effect on the internal organs, often the effect that these things can have on the skin is overlooked and underestimated. The human body, of course, is very sophisticated and will commonly do its best to heal itself. It is in one's best interest to aid the body rather than hinder it. Of course, I take into full consideration that that can be easier said than done, especially in today's world. Diet is something that can make or break skin. To speak personally, I tend not to consume dairy products. I tend to avoid refined sugars. It probably sounds so unexciting. And I don't drink alcohol. With dairy, I was never really able to take dairy properly. Certainly when I was very young, I couldn't really drink it. If I did, I would be covered in eczema. Now, if I'm to take dairy in any form, I do tend to get little pustules in my U-zone. I'll get pustules around my mouth area and my chin, as well as in the temples. So I tend to avoid dairy. I think if I was to consume dairy, I would use non-homogenized or raw milk, as I haven't had bad reactions to them. I will consume milk or cream or cheese, but when I'm in France. And I have also stopped drinking caffeinated coffee. I go for decaf now. And I used to drink coffee back to back to back. I could drink it, no problem. Caffeine would have no effect on me at all. And then I decided one day, I'm not in the mood for this right now, and I didn't have coffee for quite a long time. And when I did have a cup of coffee again, I became really frazzled. My immunity, in a way, to caffeine had gone. I became very frazzled and a bit jittery, and I had sort of the shakes. Although if I have had a coffee and it's not a decaf and it's a regular caffeinated coffee, you ought to give me some silver and a cloth and watch me go. Limiting refined sugar intake can help anyone. Sugar, of course, is something that the body can benefit from in more natural forms. But sugar can so often get people into vicious cycles. Cakes, sweets. I know in other parts of the world it's referred to as candies, dessert. These refined sugars can be so tempting to eat for pleasure and also for self-soothing. They can really calm one down and soothe one if one is a little stressed. And I've always thought that if something can rot your teeth, it can rot your organs, it can rot your brain, and it will certainly have an impact on your skin. If it doesn't have an impact on your teeth or your organs or your brain or your skin, then I'm glad for you. Refined sugar can be quite deadly. I'm not opposed to refined sugar. In fact, I do quite like a slice of cake, or the whole cake, or all the cakes. I would say that finding a balance, or at least limiting your exposure to dairy, refined sugars, processed food, I would say that that would benefit you. I would say as well that if you are struggling to make lifestyle changes, perhaps struggling to eat better food, to keep active and be overall healthier, as well as maintaining a good skincare maintenance routine, just remember that it is possible. It is possible to improve and overcome obstacles. And it takes time. And I would certainly say that when it comes to healing skin or healing scars that have been either left by a skin condition such as acne, perseverance is the key. For each of the products, I shall be engaging you in a visual representation sensation, followed by a demonstration of how I use the products and why I use the products the way that I do. So the first product that I would like to share with you is the Banish Fighter Gel. The Banish products were dispatched to me via DHL Express. The Banish products arrived in strong, sturdy, recyclable corrugated cardboard packaging sleeves, gently removing the sleeve to reveal 50 ml of the Banish Fighter Gel. A cylindrical jar decorated in simplistic monochrome black and white text and branding with titles and all relevant applicable information and ingredients printed on its glass surface, with a grooved base and a glossy black plastic lid. Unscrewing to access, lid containing a paper backing with a white plastic protective cap. Removing the protective cap, unveiling the Fighter Gel, a smoky-colored, semi-transparent gel formulation that dries completely clear when dispersed upon the epidermis. But before I go in and apply any products to my skin today, or use any tools on my skin, I would certainly recommend, especially if you are somebody with sensitive skin or somebody with potential allergies or intolerances, do check the ingredients on products before using them. I would also recommend doing a skin test on an inconspicuous part of the body. I think that skin tests are a great way of being able to determine whether or not a product or a tool is going to have a positive effect on your skin or a negative effect. I would certainly recommend that if you have a very negative reaction to a product or the application of a tool, that you discontinue use of the product or the tool, just to be on the safe side. The Banish Fighter Gel, in so many ways for me, is the star of the show. The Fighter Gel is such a marvellous product, and I think Banish did a fantastic job when creating this product. It has a multitude of uses. The Banish Fighter Gel has suddenly served to be the weapon that I wield out gallantly to combat any new devilry that attempts to besiege, besmirch, degrade, or disrupt the seamlessness of my epidermis. The Fighter Gel, of course, can be used for a multiple of skin inflammation issues such as eczema, psoriasis, acne, redness. I tend to use the Fighter Gel when I have pimples and as a post-shave cooling, soothing, inflammation combating balm on my jaw area. I would also say that the Fighter Gel is also a healing gel. The Fighter Gel contains a multitude of ingredients that are notorious for their anti-inflammatory properties. And just to name a few of the ingredients, we have aloe, dimethylsulfone, an organic green tea extract, as well as organic gotu kola. Aloe, of course, is very famous for its anti-inflammation properties as well as its healing properties. And one of the ingredients in this that I think is so interesting is the dimethylsulfone. Now, dimethylsulfone is another name for an organic sulfur compound called methylsulfonylmethane. Quite the word. Also abbreviated as MSM or referred to as dimethylsulfone. When researching dimethylsulfone, what I found interesting is that many athletes actually ingest dimethylsulfone, as it is understood to help with joint inflammation. I also understand that there are some who ingest dimethylsulfone as a means of combating joint inflammation caused by arthritis. So the Fighter Gel was previously launched in mid to late 2019. Originally it was launched as a limited edition product, but due to being received so well by the Banish customers and clients, Banish decided to continue the Fighter Gel, and thank goodness they did, as it is a marvellous product. And even though the Banish products have no added fragrance, you will definitely be able to smell the ingredients. I believe I may have a bit of synesthesia. As for me, I can smell in tastes and taste in smells, which I know can sound so bizarre to people that may not be able to do that. And the Fighter Gel to me has a very subtle smell of the taste of a certain type of sweet, and it has a smell of the taste of polos, which are like little round, small, white, minty wheels. Very nice, very refreshing. Now I'm going to go in and apply some of the Fighter Gel. Because the Fighter Gel is in a pot, you have to somehow either use your finger to get a little bit of it out, or use something like a metal spatula, or the classic, the teaspoon. You should always have one of these with you. Even if the world is ending, tea time first. If I do not need a lot of the Fighter Gel, I like to just go in with a metal spatula, and I'm going to be applying product to completely bare, clean shaven skin. I'm taking a little bit of the Fighter Gel and I'm just applying it to areas where I had a few little spots recently, and I've applied way more than I needed. The product is one of these products that you get to know, I think, the more you use it, and you also get to know how the product behaves on your skin. I have found that when my skin is really irritated, really dehydrated, and really inflamed, I can put quite a lot of the Fighter Gel on. But when it is a minor issue, like a small spot, it is better to go for a thin layer, I have found, and then you can go in and apply more once you've seen how the skin absorbs the product. And I've applied it to these spots even though they are healing and they are on their way out. The Fighter Gel will just give them a bit of a boost along. But I do tend to find that with gel products, the skin will absorb what it needs depending on how inflamed it is, how dry it is, whatever state it's in. But then it will in a way reject the rest. So that is why I would say when applying the Fighter Gel, apply a thin layer to begin with. Because if you apply a little bit too much, which I've done on many occasions, you sometimes get almost a skin on top of your own skin of the product. It can solidify. I would recommend, based on my experience of the Fighter Gel, thin layers to begin with. I use the Fighter Gel frequently for post-shave inflammation. Most of my facial hair on my chin, my jaw, in the beard area has been removed with laser hair removal therapy, as well as some electrolysis therapy treatments. I'm not able to say that any of the hair that was removed has come back. I've never really reacted very well to a razor blade when shaving. I just haven't. My skin doesn't really like it. But I find that a few hours later, the next day, 2 days after, my skin becomes really inflamed. I wouldn't say it's stingy. It's more of a cutting sensation. That is what my skin feels like after shaving. Not necessarily right away, but several hours later, the next day or the day after. And I experimented with the Banish Fighter Gel. I decided, why don't I try this on my chin area to see if it can combat this inflammation and the pain that I get from the inflammation on the skin. I'm going to be going into the Fighter Gel and taking a large amount from what I took before, as we will be spreading it across the beard area. And I'm going to be using my knife this time. And for this I use about a 2 pea-sized amount. And I just use fingers now, just to spread that around. I really am just smoothing it across the skin, almost like a light massage. The Fighter Gel is very cooling on the skin, and it is even more cooling on the skin if you keep it in the fridge. And I find that by keeping the Fighter Gel in the fridge and then going in with it onto the skin when it is very cold, it just helps soothe the skin even more. Now, I applied quite a good bit of product to the skin, but my skin is obviously quite dehydrated and probably would like a little bit more. So I'm going to go in with a second amount of the product, and I'm applying it mainly to the areas where I have redness and to where I get the most post-razor blade inflammation. One of the fascinating things about the Fighter Gel is that when it is applied to the skin, you really feel it tightening on the skin and really gripping onto the skin, but not in a drying way, more in a way that is really penetrating the skin. Now, I tend to leave my skin for roughly around 30 minutes after applying this. Sometimes if I don't have the time, I will try to give it at least 10 to 20 minutes just to really saturate into the skin. I would also state that I don't just get inflammation on the skin. About a day or 2 days after, I get loads of little pustules, and they're very close to the surface, so it's not something that I can just shave over again the next day. I have to wait for them to heal. And in a way, it would almost leave me in a slight jeopardy. I wouldn't want to go in on top of the skin with makeup if I have the inflammation. And I also wouldn't want to go in with a razor blade again to shave again the next day or the day after. The little pustules that I get on my chin and on my jaw area has reduced by 90%. Before, I would maybe have about 29 of them. Now I might have 1 or 2, at the most 3. So I think that is a vast improvement. The Fighter Gel has really helped in curbing that unpleasant scenario. I've also found that the Fighter Gel for me operates like a barrier between my skin and the cosmetics. Makeup doesn't tend to give me pustules, but it can really dehydrate my skin. And if I've shaved in the morning and I've applied a full face of makeup and I wear it all day, by the end of the day, this whole section can become so dry. But I have found that the Fighter Gel not only heals and repairs the skin, but it also helps to protect the skin from any new devilry. And after 2.5 years of using the Banish Fighter Gel, I must say, based on my own glorious experience of the Fighter Gel, I am able to recommend the Fighter Gel in good confidence. The Banish Fighter Gel retails at approximately $39 United States dollars. And now I shall be sharing with you the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser. The Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser arrived in a strong, sturdy, recyclable corrugated cardboard packaging sleeve, gently removing the sleeve to reveal 59 ml of the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser, a high-quality slender glass bottle decorated in simplistic monochrome black and white text and branding with titles and all relevant applicable information and ingredients printed on its glass surface, with a grooved base and a transparent plastic cap lid, removing to gain access to an imposing glossy black pump head, pressing down upon the pump with the greatest of vigor to unleash the All Clear Mint Cleanser, a completely transparent fluid with low viscosity. If I was to summarize the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser, I would say that it is a good quality, simple, no frills, light cleanser. It shall certainly clean your skin, but it won't strip your skin. It won't give you that stripped feeling or that raw feeling after using it. It has this lovely light formulation, so I think it would be really appropriate to use as a morning cleanser and also a cleanser before sleeping, so a nighttime cleanser as well. And the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser contains a multitude of ingredients that are notorious for their anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, as well as cleansing capacities. And this is not an oil-based cleanser, it is a gel-based cleanser. With most cleansers, and certainly this cleanser, you do need water to remove them. And I find that with the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser, it is best activated and used with water, as you will see in just a moment. Normally I would use this cleanser at the sink in my necessarium in the morning and the evening. But because we're in my studio where there is no sink utility, I shall be fetching a cauldron with some water and operating from that. So I'm now going to take some of the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser, and I'm going to take about 3 pumps of it on my Goliath-sized hands. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. So I have some of the cleanser on my hand, and then I'm just going to dip the other hand into the cauldron with the water, get the other hand wet, and then vigorously mix them together to create a lather first of all, before going in on the face. And as you can see, it lathers up quite well. Now you can apply the cleanser to your face, then go in with wet hands to create a lather on the face, but I like to do it this way. And then I just put it onto the face like that. If I was in my necessarium and doing this over the sink and splashing the water from the sink up onto my face, I would of course tie my hair back. But because we are here today in my studio, I am not going to be tying my hair back. What I have found with this cleanser, if you really want to get the best effects from this cleanser, you really do have to mix it with water. If you go in with it just as it is and start to massage it around, you will start to get a bit of friction with it. But when you mix this cleanser with water, you really create this lather. And I've just gone in with another 2 pumps today because I'm feeling decadent. I would say you only really need 2 pumps of the product. It really depends on your skin and of course the size of your face. It doesn't feel irritating on the skin. It really is a light cleanser. So by mixing it with the water, we're trying to get it, I've never liked this word at all, but I think it is most applicable in this instance. It's the word frothy. So you get the product frothy. Or foaming, which is another word I've never liked. I think frothy and foaming, as applicable as they are in this instance, they are words that are akin to the likes of moist. And even though it looks like I'm being quite vigorous, I'm not actually. I'm just massaging the skin quite lightly. And by massaging for up to about 1 minute to 2 minutes, I mean 1 minute will really help your skin if you massage because you get that lymphatic drainage. And by using this sort of cleanser with the water, you really clean but also massage at the same time. So it really packs the skin up. And if you struggle to count to a minute, what you can do alternatively is say, John Maclean is wonderful. And if you say it about 40 times, you will get to around a minute. And if you find that the cleanser starts to dry and becomes less foamy, wetting your hand again and going back in will get it foaming again. Always remembering to do the neck. Now, even though none of the Banish products have any added fragrance, you will definitely be able to smell the ingredients. And the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser certainly has a minty scent to it. Although with that said, when I smell it from the bottle, I've often thought it smells like the taste of mint-flavoured Turkish Delight, which I have only ever tried recently and it was marvellous. Now the cleanser is starting to dry a little bit down on the skin and I have refilled my cauldron with clean water and I have submerged a cloth in it and then I rinse out the water and then go in and begin to remove the residue of the All Clear Mint Cleanser, remembering to be quite gentle with the skin. And always working inwards and upwards. And patting dry with a clean towel. And feeling over my skin, it just feels really clean and fresh without feeling stripped or dried out. I would use the Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser in the morning. I would also use it at night. I would also use it in a 2-part cleanse. So if I had a full face of makeup on, I would use a much heavier, more stripping cleanser first of all, and then I would use this as my secondary cleanser. It really is just a good quality, no nonsense, simplistic, light cleanser that I think would be appropriate for morning cleansing as well as evening cleansing, and that is why I'm able to recommend it. The Banish All Clear Mint Cleanser retails for approximately $39 United States dollars. And now I shall share with you the Banish Pumpkin Enzyme Mask. The Banish Pumpkin Enzyme Mask arrived in a strong, sturdy, recyclable corrugated cardboard packaging sleeve, gently removing to reveal 50 ml of the Banish Pumpkin Enzyme Mask. A cylindrical jar decorated in simplistic monochrome black and white text and branding with titles and all relevant applicable information and ingredients printed on its glass surface. With a grooved base and a glossy black lid, unscrewing to access. With a white plastic protective cap, removing the protective cap, unveiling the Banish Pumpkin Enzyme Mask. A beautiful, vibrant, orange-coloured formulation with medium viscosity. The Banish Pumpkin Enzyme Mask is a wonderful exfoliating mask. It has long been one of my favourite products from Banish. I've used it for years. I've loved it for so many reasons. One reason being it has a marvellous array of ingredients. One of those ingredients, of course, being pumpkin. Pumpkin, unfortunately, is often so overlooked and underrated. Now, I have many thoughts to share on this product, but I'm going to get straight into the application. Like all the Banish products, the Pumpkin Enzyme Mask has no added fragrance, but the ingredients in this certainly to me smell like pumpkin seed bread as well as smelling like the taste of pumpkin seed bread, which if I may confess I'm quite a fan of. There was a bakery that I used to go to every morning in a part of North London and they used to sell a pumpkin seed loaf, and being the anaconda that I am, I would usually have eaten half the loaf by the time I got home. Because the product is in a pot, you will have to dip into the pot and scoop some of the product out. Today I'm going to be using my teaspoon to remove some of the product from the jar. Instead of scooping the product out, I'm going to turn the spoon on its back and remove some of the product that way. And with the product on the back of my spoon, I apply a bit of it to the forehead. I've gone in with a little bit more than I need, but I'm going to spread it around. With the pumpkin enzyme mask applied to the face, I like to then spread it around using a synthetic foundation brush. It's almost like painting. I have applied that all over the face and just created a thin layer over my whole face. Now I'm going to leave the pumpkin enzyme mask for about 10 to 20 minutes for it to really do its magic and for it to dry down. When it comes to the Banish pumpkin enzyme mask, I do tend to use it at least up to 2 times a week, no more than that. I think it would be a little bit too often to use more than that. I prefer to be more gentle with the skin. To remove the pumpkin enzyme mask, I'm going to be going back into my cauldron, this time with hot, clean water, and I have saturated a clean face cloth in that water. I'm not going to rub off the mask just yet. I'm just going to press the face cloth onto the skin. Because I have saturated the face cloth with the water, when I press it onto the skin, it saturates the pumpkin enzyme mask with water. That way that it is much easier to remove. And it is simply a much more delicate way of removing a dried face mask. And once the mask is wet again, it will simply slide off the skin. And with the pumpkin enzyme mask completely cleared from the skin on the face and the neck, it has left my skin looking visually brighter and more clear. I've always loved the pumpkin enzyme mask for this very reason, that it really clears dead skin off the skin without any harsh scrubbing or abrasion. It just feels smooth, and that is one of the things I have always loved about the pumpkin enzyme mask, is that you could really clear dead skin and just that dull feeling from the skin. It also makes the skin appear less dull. It certainly exfoliates the skin and removes dead skin cells without harsh abrasion. And for me, the Banish pumpkin enzyme mask remains a favourite. It isn't overly complicated. It's very to the point. It is an exfoliating pumpkin enzyme mask, and it has served me time and time again. My experience of this product has always been positive, and I would recommend this to anyone, provided that your skin is able to handle the ingredients. The Banish pumpkin enzyme mask retails for approximately $39 United States dollars. And now I shall share with you the Banisher 2. The Banisher 2 arrived in a completely sealed protective plastic and paper packaging pouch, requiring an incision to access, gently removing to reveal the Banisher 2. The Banisher 2 is held within a cylindrical transparent plastic encasing with black top and bottom lids ergonomically designed to hold the Banisher 2 upright. The lower lid decorated with the Banish logo, easily removed, allowing full access to the Banisher 2. The Banisher 2, finished in an attractive soft matte black finish, with a rather elegant tapering handle leading towards its head. A slender, graceful design, ever so lightweight in the hands and adorned with the Banish bee, with a smoky-coloured, transparent plastic lid, easily unscrewing, unveiling multiple 24-karat gold-plated titanium microneedles, protruding from a circular white plastic base, ready for application. The Banisher 2 is a microneedling device. Many microneedling devices are also referred to as microneedlers, microrollers, dermaneedles, dermaroller, dermastamp. In fact, the Banisher 2 could be classed as a microneedling stamp or a dermastamp. And here I have for you the since discontinued Banisher, which could be regarded as a microneedle roller as well as a dermaroller. It is basically a cylinder with many microneedles on it that will be rolled over the skin. Whereas with the Banisher 2, it is simply stamped onto the skin. To familiarize you a little bit, as the name suggests, microneedles are very small, they are micro-sized needles, and when applied to the skin with a little bit of pressure, either it be a stamp-like microneedler, a microneedling roller, not to be confused with fractional lasering or fractional needling or microdermabrasion, though all of these things and all of these skin treatments are designed to improve the texture and appearance of the skin. With microneedling, in a way, it is an unnatural way of triggering a natural response. With microneedling, when you apply small needles to the skin, it creates micro wounds, micro channels in the skin. Microneedling can trigger the body, the skin, to begin a healing process, to begin a restoration process of the skin. In the same way that when you have an injury, be it a large injury or a small injury, the body, being very sophisticated, will try to heal itself and will try to mend itself and put itself back back into order. Many people utilize microneedlers as a way of reducing and healing the appearance of acne scarring. Scars left over by general spots can also be treated with microneedlers. Many use microneedlers as a means of reducing the appearance of hyperpigmentation, fine lines, damaged blood vessels. I also understand that there are many people that utilize microneedlers as a means of healing the areas of the skin where hair follicles might have been damaged by alopecia in its varied forms. Some people use microneedlers on their beard area as a means of triggering hair follicles to grow where there may be discrepancies in the formation of the hair follicles. One of the things I find most fascinating about microneedling, you are simply using a device to trigger your body's own healing process. In a way, we could say that microneedling triggers the body's own healing and growing powers. Because you're creating a small wound in the skin, a very small little wound, a small channel, so to speak, this can also be a way of applying products to the skin and getting those products, depending on what they are, typically products that are designed to heal skin. Microneedling as a preliminary step, then applying the said products, provides the opportunity for a product to penetrate further into the epidermis, which in many ways can serve to expedite the healing and regeneration process of the skin. I'm not able to recommend that you microneedle your skin if you are somebody that has keloid scars, raised scars, as you may very well hit a nerve. I would not recommend that you microneedle active acne or microneedle an active spot. Wait until these things are healed before going in and applying a microneedler. I would not recommend that you utilize a microneedler if you are somebody that happens to have the skin condition hidradenitis suppurativa, conveniently abbreviated to HS. I certainly wouldn't recommend that you use a microneedler on the scars, and if you are to use the microneedler on your skin, do of course check with a specialist to see if that is the right course of action for you. I certainly wouldn't recommend that you microneedle on active cold sores. It is okay to go in and apply a microneedler to the scarring left over by cold sores, but I would certainly recommend that you wait for these things to heal before going in with a microneedler. Otherwise, if done correctly, sanitary microneedling can be very effective on the skin. When it comes to me personally, where I use a microneedler isn't necessarily to treat scarring. I have scarring in my beard area. That is because I'm still undergoing the process of beard removal. So I don't actually use the microneedler on my beard area to treat any scarring because I don't want to activate any more hair follicles. I want to wipe them all out. But what I use a microneedler for, and what I find it so effective for, is to go over my skin, especially a day before I have an important event or meeting, or if I'm filming, because it just plumps the skin up. It just refreshes the skin, I find. I also utilize a microneedler to target any fine lines that may be appearing, as I have found it as an effective measure at reducing their appearance somewhat. I've always found microneedling for me just gives my skin this glorious boost, and the next day I just look really fresh. I am only really able to recommend microneedling the skin at most twice a week. I would also like to make special emphasis when treating scarring with a microneedler. It isn't going to necessarily be an instant fix. It is something that you're going to have to be consistent with. It takes time, and it is a slow process to heal scarring of any kind. Consistency is key. And if you do go ahead and utilize a microneedler, I would very much recommend that you do not wear makeup for at least 12 hours after microneedling. Give your skin a little bit of time before applying any makeup to it. And if you are to have to go outside during the day after microneedling, I would certainly recommend that you wear some form of sun protection, some form of SPF, to simply give the skin protection, because you have gone in and created micro wounds. This makes the skin more vulnerable. That is why I would recommend microneedling in the evening, so that by the next day you wake up and you can go out and carry on with your day as normal. Now I am going to be giving you a demonstration as to how I go about using the Banisher 2 and how I microneedle my skin. The Banisher 2 is a very special product for me. Not only is it beautiful, functional, attractive, streamlined, practical, and unique in its design to banish. I was given exclusive right to unveil the Banisher 2 here on my channel 4 years ago. So for me, the Banisher 2 will always be special and was certainly part of the historical moment here on my channel. And if I remove its lid, it is very sophisticated. If one is to look closely at the Banisher 2, one will discover that the microneedles on the Banisher 2 are quite spread apart. The Banisher 2 also has 24-karat gold-plated titanium bristles that measure at approximately 0.5 millimeters, which in the grand scale of microneedles is more on the shorter side. It's certainly a more gentle length, and you may not be able to see the beauty of the microneedles here in my studio with such bright lighting, but when I was in my chamber last night, I was looking at the Banisher 2, and the lighting in my chamber is very warm. It's like a temple. The gold-plated microneedles, they twinkle in the light. It really was quite a beautiful moment, and I had never looked at them in warm lighting before. And with the warm light, it illuminated all the little microneedles, and it was almost as if though I was staring at some golden, faintly visible city on the horizon. It was quite a beautiful moment, very inspiring. Gold really is so beautiful. Conveniently, gold also happens to be a very clean metal. I am more inclined to use a stamp-like microneedler, such as the Banisher 2, and I would like to give you an example as to why I would prefer to pick a microneedling stamp over that of a microneedling roller. And to give you an example, I have some tack with us today. The tack shall represent the epidermis. I also have here a toothpick, which is going to represent our microneedle. Now, when microneedling the skin, utilizing a microneedling roller, you are going to be creating a micro wound at an angle because it is attached to a roller. It isn't going to come straight down, at least not until it has passed over the skin directly. So if we are to pretend that this is our microneedle attached to a microneedling roller and it's coming along and it pierces the skin like so, the needle has created a micro wound within the skin at an angle, which is all right. And it would certainly be all right if the needle was coming back out at an angle. In fact, the needle is likely to pull on the skin, widening the micro wound that you have created. So you're not actually going to have a direct micro wound using a microneedling roller, so it will stretch the hole somewhat. Whereas with a stamp microneedling device, the needle will come down and go straight in, creating a direct, straight micro wound. It has also then been removed from the epidermis, provided that you do not wiggle your microneedling device around at the angle of entry, like so. The lower wound, having been created by our microneedling roller, has created a stretched micro wound, whereas the upper wound, created by our microneedling stamp, has created a more direct micro wound. So the theory behind utilizing a microneedling stamp as opposed to a microneedling roller, for the reasons that I have just stated to you, certainly makes a lot more sense. Also, when utilizing a microneedler, and if the hole becomes stretched while the needle is in the skin, whether that's to happen in the case of utilizing a microneedling roller or a microneedling stamp by wobbling it. And what I mean by wobbling with a microneedling stamp is if you are to apply it like so and then wobble it whilst on the skin, you are potentially stretching the micro wound more so than it needs to be. There is the potentials for micro tears within the epidermis, as well as generating unnecessary inflammation. Now, of course, because you are going in and micro-wounding the skin, you are going to have some degree of inflammation. I know that some people are quite sensitive to microneedling and can bleed. Another marvelous benefit of utilizing a microneedling device yourself is that it is something that you can do yourself. You can, of course, have many different types of treatments done by a professional. That has its trade-offs, and it is typically something that is provided in cities or in larger towns. If you dwell in a rural area, a do-it-yourself option might be more suitable and more convenient for you. When microneedling the skin, hygiene is imperative because we are creating micro wounds in the epidermis. Conveniently, the cap of the Banisher 2 can be utilized as a sanitizing vessel. I like to sanitize my microneedler with isopropyl alcohol or surgical spirit. Today, I'm going to be utilizing isopropyl alcohol. I keep mine in blue glass, and I'm just going to pour a little bit of that into the lid. There is a filmy line, but I don't tend to fill right up to the line. I just fill just to there because I flip the microneedler upside down, screwing the Banisher 2 firmly into place. Now I don't tend to fill the lid up to the fill line because when you flip it upside down, all of the needles will be submerged. And I would say that it is important for your microneedles to be submerged in a sanitizing solution before use. That way you can ensure that any bacteria has been exterminated. And I shall leave it to sanitize for about 20 minutes. And one marvelous thing about the Banisher is that you don't have to hold it upside down or hold it at all whilst it's sanitizing. You can take its packaging and pop it back in. Fits ever so snug. 20 minutes have passed and my Banisher 2 is sanitized and ready to be utilized. I'm going to be going in and microneedling clean shaven skin. My skin is completely bare and it is important that the skin has no cosmetics on it, no product on it. It has to be completely bare before microneedling. That ensures that the process is sanitary and hygienic. I would also like to state as well that I am not microneedling my skin on the same day that I used the Banish Pumpkin Enzyme mask. I am microneedling a day after. I wouldn't use the two of them on the same day, not one after the other. I prefer to give the skin a little bit of a window before going in and microneedling the skin. And I like to start first of all at the outer part of the face. We really are just stamping it down, being quite firm but also being gentle. Now, as we are creating micro wounds in the skin, my skin is likely to get somewhat inflamed. And as you can see, I am just holding the Banisher 2 into the skin. I'm not wiggling it or moving it around. I'm just going over it, pressing it, almost like a robot. Now, I wouldn't say that the Banisher 2 is terribly painful. It can be a little bit painful in areas that are more sensitive and delicate, like on the sides of the nose, and a little bit around the cheek was a little bit painful for me. Taking 2 clean fingers, this is also another way of just stretching the skin somewhat. Not too much though. And targeting finer lines, you can just press down. And one of the things that I like to do is simply press down onto the skin and wait for a moment. That way you establish the micro wound. And as you can see, I have a little bit of redness left over from previous pustules, so I'm just going to target that area once more. I would not do this if I still had the pustules or if they were still healing. All that remains, however, is the redness from the pustules. I had completely forgotten how firm the Banisher 2 feels on the skin. I would also recommend replacing your microneedling device after every 8 to 10 uses, as the microneedles will eventually blunt and bend. There is the chance as well, by using a bent or blunt needle, that may very well cause scarring. Even though it may be minor, it is possible. Now, as you might be able to perceive, my skin has gotten a little bit red, and it appears that I have drawn blood today for the very first time. I'm quite surprised it's not blue, actually. And I have completed microneedling the skin with the Banisher 2. Now, my skin is not typically this sensitive to microneedling, but today it is quite sensitive. Normally, I would go in and apply the appropriate products to the skin after microneedling. But because I have drawn blood today, I would like to go in and remove the residual blood. I'm not really wiping, I'm just patting over the skin very gently, using a cold, damp cloth to do so. And that is how I utilize the Banisher 2. The Banish Banisher 2 retails at approximately $69 United States dollars. Banish also have these wonderful kits on their website where you can buy multiple products as a kit, and they are more competitively priced when purchased as a kit as opposed to being purchased individually. One of these kits is the Banish 2 kit, where you shall receive the Banish pouch, the marvelous Banisher 2, a promotional instructional leaflet, as well as the Banish Oil. Now, you will be able to select on the website whether or not you want to go for the Banish Oil in the kit, or you might want to go for the Banish Vitamin C Cream. Personally, I would go for the cream. The Banish Kit 2 retails for approximately $99 United States dollars. And now I shall share with you the Banish Vitamin C Cream. The Banish Vitamin C Cream arrived in a strong, sturdy, recyclable corrugated cardboard packaging sleeve, gently removing to reveal 50 ml of the Banish Vitamin C Cream. A cylindrical jar decorated in simplistic monochrome black and white text and branding, with titles and all relevant applicable information and ingredients printed on its glass surface. With a grooved base and glossy black lid, unscrewing to access, with a white plastic protective cap, removing the protective cap. Unveiling the Banish Vitamin C Cream, a lovely pale ivory coloured cream formulation. The Banish Vitamin C Cream has always served me as being a good quality, simplistic, rather to the point moisturizer. I wouldn't say it's a very dense moisturizer. I would certainly say it's more on the lighter side of things. You will also discover that when you feel it, when you touch it in your fingers, and when you apply it to the skin, it feels very light. It's not a heavy moisturizer. With that said, it has a multitude of ingredients that are designed to nurture and heal the skin. And I often use the vitamin C cream actually as a preliminary step to other moisturizers. It is great on its own and it's so gentle on the skin. Before I go in and apply any of the Banish vitamin C cream to the skin, I would like to inform you that it has actually been 18 hours since I microneedled my skin. I didn't, of course, microneedle the beard area, but you will be able to see across the cheeks, the nose and the forehead, the skin is just a little bit bouncy. It's actually quite glowy as well. My skin is completely bare at the moment. I haven't applied anything to the skin. I did apply some of the Banish vitamin C cream to the skin after microneedling, before entering my chamber room to rest. And though there is no added fragrance, it definitely has a rather planty smell. Now, I have often found this product to be quite solid. As you can see, it's almost a bit like a paste. And I apply it to the skin, first of all, with a spatula, and it may seem as if though I'm applying quite a lot. The vitamin C cream is one of these products that you can apply to the skin and apply to the skin and apply to the skin. It never seems to clump, curdle, or pile up. My skin has always just absorbed the vitamin C cream. It never seems to feel like I'm wearing too much. It is very light. Even though it is a cream and it is very wet feeling, it doesn't have that greasy emollient feel. It's still very humectant and it really does massage into the skin quite beautifully. The vitamin C cream will be wonderful for your skin if you're somebody with more oily skin and if you're somebody that currently has active acne. I did in fact gift some of the Banish vitamin C cream to one of my friends who developed severe cystic acne in their mid-20s, as they wanted to be able to still moisturize their skin but not apply a heavy moisturizer to their skin, as they did have very active acne. So I thought the vitamin C cream would be perfect for them, and they thought that the Banish vitamin C cream was very light on the skin. It applied moisture and held moisture without being heavy or greasy or comedogenic. And I would certainly say that it is still important to moisturize your skin, even if you do have an inflammatory skin condition such as acne. But I would certainly recommend the Banish vitamin C cream to anyone, especially if your skin is oily or if you have acne. And I would also recommend it to anybody that has dry skin. My skin is a combination to dry. In fact, sometimes I'm drier than the Gobi Desert. And even though I have applied quite a liberal, heavy amount of the Banish vitamin C cream, it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. My skin has already started to absorb the product, and it gives my skin a subtle glow. Almost forgot to do the neck. And I have often found that the Banish vitamin C cream is quite a healing product. That is why I like to apply it to my skin after microneedling my skin. Vitamin C, of course, is widely regarded for its skin brightening properties, its anti-aging effects, as well as its collagen boosting capacities. I am certainly able to recommend the vitamin C cream to you in good conscience. It is a lightweight, good quality vitamin C cream. The Banish vitamin C cream retails for approximately 49 United States dollars. And now I will share with you the Banish Oil. The Banish Oil arrived in a strong, sturdy, recyclable corrugated cardboard packaging sleeve, gently removing the sleeve to reveal 15 mils of the Banish Oil. A rather quaint bottle decorated in simplistic monochrome black and white text and branding with titles and all relevant applicable information and ingredients printed on its glass surface. With a glossy black dropper pipette lid applicator, unscrewing the lid, drop a pipette from the bottle to access. Squeeze to intake or disperse product. A completely transparent fluid with low viscosity. The Banish Oil is a fantastic product when applied to the skin. I would certainly say that the Banish Oil has quite a potent formulation. It contains quite a strong vitamin C ingredient. The Banish Oil is very hydrating to the skin. It is very humectant and it is very nourishing to the skin. It really helps the skin heal, I find. And I love to apply this product at night before going to bed. Sometimes I apply it amongst my skincare, usually at the end of applying skincare, or on top of the vitamin C cream. But when I apply the Banish oil to my skin at night before resting, I find that the next day my skin is just much brighter, much clearer, and overall looks and feels much better. Vitamin C products, or products containing vitamin C like the Banish oil, are marvelous at helping your skin heal, as well as reducing the appearance and depth of dark spots and hyperpigmentation, as well as scarring left over from inflammatory conditions such as acne. One of the things about vitamin C products, be them serums or oils, they do tend to degrade quite quickly. They tend to go off. You will find on the market that many products of this nature usually have a colouring added to them so that they are given either a yellow colour or an orange colour. Banish do not add any colouring to the Banish oil. Banish makes no secret of this fact. Vitamin C products do tend to oxidize and discolour. They will go from being clear to either yellow or orange. Typically yellow. It's not really the nicest colour, as you will see momentarily. I have here for you a souvenir from the past. This was my first ever bottle from Banish. It's 5 years old. It is the Banish oil, but from 5 years ago. And I have taken it out of my archives for you here today, so that you will be able to see what a vitamin C product looks like once it has oxidized. Taking some of our fresh Banish oil and dispersing some of the product. Taking some of our expired Banish oil and dispersing the product. As you will be able to perceive, the fresh Banish oil remains clear, whereas the expired Banish oil has discolored. There are ways to prolong the life of your vitamin C products. Banish also recommend that you keep your Banish oil in a cool, cold, dark place. So the fridge is a wonderful place to store your Banish oil. I tend to keep more skincare in my fridge than I do groceries or food. In fact, if you were to ever visit my house, you might not necessarily get something to eat, but you would certainly get a serum. So if I was to take some of the product, I would not recommend that you disperse it directly onto your skin. I would not recommend that you touch it like so. I'd recommend that you put the product either onto the palm of your hand, onto a vessel, be it a spatula or a plate or whatever, and then apply it to your skin. I would not recommend that you place the applicator anywhere near a surface where there might be bacteria. Using this glass rod, I have no idea what it's from or what it's for, but if we were to pretend that this is the applicator from our Banish oil, much larger of course, if I was to press it against the skin and dispersing some of our Banish oil, what may happen is that some of the bacteria that is on my skin may be picked up by the applicator and then goes back into our Banish oil. This can accelerate the process at which a product is degraded. So I would recommend applying the product to a surface first of all, and then going in and applying it to the skin. I like to apply it underneath the eye first of all, and I massage it gently into the skin, always working inward. For me, some areas require more of the Banish oil than others. Now, even though this is an oil, it's quite a lightweight oil. So if I tilt my spatula somewhat, you will see it starts to run. So do be mindful when applying it. The amount of times I've gotten oil all over myself. I love to take this onto the décolletage area as well. On me personally, after a direct application of the Banish oil, I sometimes find it to be a little bit stingy. That is because it is quite a potent formula. But after a minute or so, it does calm down. And even though it is an oil and I probably look quite shiny, it doesn't really sit on top of the skin. You will notice it starts to absorb into the skin. Over the many years of using the Banish oil, I have found that it has improved the texture, the quality and the appearance of my skin. The Banish oil retails for approximately $49 United States dollars. With the lovely vitamin C cream applied to the skin, as well as the Banish oil, I now need to find some sort of SPF or sun protection that I can wear now to protect these products from the sun, as well as to protect my skin. As I have to dash out, I've got a quick errand that I need to run to Tartarus. Conveniently, Banish have recently launched their first ever sun protection SPF, the Defender, and the Defender was launched in early March. I have so many things to say about this product because I was actually privately testing this product for Banish 8 months in advance of its launch. So I have an understanding and an experience of this product that I'm able to reference. No, I am not going to elaborate too expansively about the Defender. As you all know, I could chat you all to death. However, I have a review coming all about the Defender, but not here on the platform www.youtube.com. I shall be publishing my review of the Defender on my account on the platform www.instagram.com. If you wish to find me there, my account username is at Lord Maclean, spelled Lordmaclean. Now I'm going to apply this just to the fingers. What I like to do with it is just dab it. Forehead and the cheeks. And the Defender has this lovely texture. It's not like any other SPFs I have ever tried. And even though I have applied the Banish Vitamin C Cream as well as the Banish Oil to the skin, the Defender seems to marry with the products really, really well. I never feel like I have too much on. Obviously the oil has a little bit of a presence, but the Defender and the Vitamin C Cream really do not have so much of a presence. And if you just massage it in and work it into the skin, it shall disappear. Now, I wouldn't say that it is a matte formula, the Defender, nor would I say that it is glossy. It really is a demi-matte formula. It does have a subtle sheen, however. What I have found with the Defender as well is if you just keep working it into the skin, it will just marry with your skin and you won't be able to see any remnants of it. I am not going to say anything more than this about the Defender, as I have so much to say. The Banish the Defender is the first ever sun protection SPF that I have ever used that doesn't make my eyes water. I've often viewed sunscreen, SPF, sun protection as a necessary evil because it is important, but most of them do make my eyes water. I'm quite irritated to whatever is in most of them, but the Banish the Defender is the first one that I have ever tried, and I did test it on my eyelids and close to my eyes on a sunny day, and I did not have irritation. My eyes did not water. There was a tiny little bit of a presence. I could tell it was there. Most sunscreen, sun protection SPFs from low end to high end, they really do make my eyes water. So much so, I probably resemble a sight as if though the Hoover Dam had burst. It also feels lovely on the skin. Some SPFs, sun protections, as necessary as they are, they can sometimes feel like goose fat on the skin. Whereas the Banish the Defender has this wonderful creamy light formulation. So the Defender really is a practical product, because looking at my skin now, you wouldn't think that I have a lot of oil on my skin or a lot of skincare. It has just cut the glare of the Banish oil away. So the Defender is really practical in that regard. Not only do you get SPF 50, you are also able to conceal quite a lot of skincare. It really hides the amount of skincare that I actually have on my skin currently. The skin just feels a little bit tacky. And the Banish the Defender retails at approximately $49 United States dollars. The Banish products have no added fragrance. The Banish products are natural, cruelty-free and vegan. Another wonderful thing about Banish is that they have a recycling program. If you are to return 5 empty jars, bottles or storage bags, you will be able to get a $20 Banish gift card. So that more or less completes my brand and product focus film. Trialing, demonstrating and reviewing the entire Banish range, from their skincare to their tools. I shall be leaving all the appropriate applicable links for Banish, their website, their social media within the description of this film. I am also able to provide you with a code here today that you may choose to use when purchasing any of the Banish products by using the code Lord Maclean, spelt as one word, LORDMACLEAN. This will provide you with a $5 reduction to your entire order, but it shall only apply to orders that are $50 and above. In addition to this, and to celebrate the occasion, Banish and I have decided that when using the code Lord Maclean, should you make an order above $150, you may be able to win the glorious The Defender Mineral Sunscreen for free, courtesy of Banish. And this opportunity will run for a limited time only. And of course, this discount code is totally optional. It's there for you to use if you would like to. Banish also have on their website a currency converter. So depending on what currency that you may wish to purchase their products with, they have a currency converter on their website. Again, Banish deliver worldwide, and you will only be able to purchase the Banish products exclusively from their website www.banish.com. I would very much like to take the liberty to express my gratitude for Miss Daisy Jing as well as the entire Banish team for facilitating a second partnership. I would also like to wish Miss Daisy Jing as well as the entire Banish company all the best of luck with their product development, their future successes, and their growth as a brand. I have had a tremendous amount of fun creating this film for you here today, and I hope that you have found the tips, the techniques, the recommendations, as well as the demonstrations within today's film to be either interesting, useful, helpful, or beneficial. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and of course, take care. Bye.